Hey everyone and welcome to the Retro channel, and we are back with the Xbox. Now I did work on this in a previous video, so if you haven't already seen that, I highly recommend pausing this video now and going back and watching that one. There will be a link in the video description. Okay, we good? Right, well, if you haven't seen that video, I'm about to spoil it for you, so let's go over a quick recap of what we've done with this thing. So originally, when we first plugged it in, it would randomly power itself on and off, and after opening it up, we found that there was a leaky clock capacitor, no surprises there, but it had done some fairly major damage to the board. So after a lot of cleanup and replacing a few components here and there and working out some of the unknown values of the components using the Xbox schematics, we managed to get this thing back up and running for the most part. It powered on normally, but we had some glitchy video, and that's kind of where we're up to. So let's plug this thing back in and we'll power it on again just to make sure the fault hasn't changed. All right, everything should be ready to go. Let's power up. All right, it's coming on. So far, so good. In fact, it looks perfectly fine. Apart from the aspect ratio being out, maybe. Okay, so we're not seeing glitchy video anymore. That's kind of annoying, because that means this is an intermittent fault. Oh, did I just see a little glitch? Yes, I did. Alright, that's a bit better. We're running kernel 5101 and dash 5960. That doesn't really mean anything to me. I'm not up to date on what dashboard is what. Yeah, definitely some glitchy video happening now. So possibly a temperature issue. Maybe the thermal paste is that bad that just sitting in the dash is enough to, get this thing to sort of glitch out. All right, well, I'm going to take this game out because otherwise it's going to try and boot into that all the time. Let's power this thing off, and I'll try and move these drives out of the way, and then we'll cook the GPU a little bit, see what it does. Right, I've managed to place the drives out of our way because you still need to have the drives plugged in order for this to power on properly, at least when they're not modded. So they should still power up normally. Yep, it seems happy. So right now we're getting the occasional glitch. Let's hit it with 150 degrees Celsius. And yeah, it definitely seems to make the glitching happen a lot more often. Let's just move over to the focus chip back here, as that's sort of the analog to digital converter for our video output. Could be something in that area as well. Unfortunately, I'm out of freezer spray. That would be very handy for this. Yeah, we could have an issue in the rear here. An issue in the rear. Well, and that is definitely incredibly hot now. Just going to quickly swap over to a regular composite video cable, just in case. I mean, I really don't think it's this cable because I've used it on other Xboxes without issue, but maybe something happened to it. All right, let's see what it does with a different cable. Just composite video, so it might look a bit soft. It's actually not bad for composite. Okay, everything seems stable with composite. Let's just try warming some things up again. Nothing. Okay. This is my Xbox. That should be still fully working. Alright, with my Xbox and the component video cable. Ah. Well, ain't that a bitch. Huh. Of course, this thing is modded. I guess it was originally called Snake by the previous user, but yeah, we have stable video, although it's pretty noisy. It's pretty, I'm guessing it's just these cheap ass cables. Does SDP on the RetroTink 5X mean standard definition profile? Because if so, with this Xbox not being modded, so yeah, so this one goes to a blue screen because it switches into, you know, high def 720p mode or whatever it's set up to be. But with the PAL Xboxes, they don't have a HD output mode unless you mod them. So was it just the RetroTink settings the whole time? Alright, so RetroTink is set to the normal component video input. So we should get, yeah, we got that glitching. Let's swap over to the SDP input, the SDP profile. And it's solid. I mean, okay, I need to look this up. I was hooking up PS1 to do an X station. What does SDP stand for? SDP is the standard definition processor. It handles wonky sync signals better and allows for brightness contrast control, but only supports 240p, 480i signals, and uses a lower sampling rate, reducing image sharpness. Basically, try both and see what works better for you. Right, so all I needed to do was set the RetroTink to the SDP profile, apparently. In fact, let's check out the console mods wiki, because that should have even more detailed information. Selects YPBPR input using the standard definition processor. Okay, that's almost exactly what that other dude said. Fair enough. And yeah, everything still looks good. So, and the DVD drive seems to be working as well. I mean, I assume this is a DVD-based game and not a CD-based one. It's got to be DVD. Let's throw a CD in, make sure the drive can actually read CDs as well. We'll even try a burnt CD with YouTube jazz music, so I don't get a copyright strike. Can hear it speeding up, sounds like it's working. Oh, it sounds like it's giving up. Can't recognize this disc. Let's give it a regular audio CD in decent condition. Okay, that worked. Right, here we go, the challenge disc, the Def Leppard CD that is very scratched up. It read that as well. And it's playing. So, just doesn't like burnt CDs, but I don't know if that's normal for an Xbox. Maybe these things just don't like burnt discs. The YouTube Jazz CD still looks to be in good condition. It just really doesn't like it. Okay, could be an issue with the drive, could just be that it doesn't like that particular CDR. Let's power this thing off, pull it all apart, replace the thermal paste, and I'll also clean out this DVD-ROM drive just to make sure everything is looking good in there. Alrighty, let's get these heat sinks off and replace that thermal paste. What is that? What's that thing? Is that a blob of solder? Oh, it's loose. Must have been left over from when I was resoldering all this stuff. Good thing that didn't short out to anything. Okay, no need to worry about the fan in this thing because apparently it was already cleaned out, but I don't think the thermal paste has been done on this machine. So we'll start with the CPU. Should come off fairly easily. Just got to remember how to unhook this clip from it. Okay. It unhooks from the rear, so you just sort of need to push down and then sort of prise it out. There it goes. Yeah, in fact, that's a thermal pad, not thermal paste, isn't it? Because it's neat and square. I never noticed that before. Looks like it has been attacked in the past though, so maybe that's not original. I guess it's not. So yeah, the heatsink is sort of scratched up a bit. So I'm just going to use a little plastic spudger just to get the bulk of it off. You don't really need to worry about the stuff around the outside of the die, but yeah, I like to make it nice and clean. I'll do for bulk cleaning. We'll come back and clean the rest off with some IPA. Let's do the same on the heatsink. And yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody used a metal tool on this in the past and scratched it up a little bit. That's okay. Bit of IPA on one of these printer toner cartridge cleaners or whatever they're supposed to be. You can find these on eBay, AliExpress, Amazon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're called toner cartridge cleaners, but they're basically lint free, or at least these ones seem to be. So they don't leave a bunch of crap like regular cotton buds do, which is kind of nice. And they've got that nice flat surface as well. Perfect for these kind of things. All right, that's the heatsink cleaned up. Do the same for the CPU itself. We'll just do a little dry pass. A bit of Arctic MX4, and I've lost the plunger for this thing, so we'll make do. That is plenty. Does this have a particular orientation? Doesn't look like it. So clip the front first, and then make the rear clip on, lock it in. Huh. Yeah, see, so even though it's clipped down, the actual heatsink's able to move about. So maybe a thermal pad is better because at least that'll sort of adhere to both and stop this being able to slide around. Maybe it makes no difference because we're still getting good thermal contact. I don't know. Leave it in the comments. I'm guessing the GPU is going to be the same. So these, that's the easiest way to get this sucker off. So I think if we push down on this lever and then sort of try and tilt it out around the clip underneath, that might work. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, and somebody's probably yelling at their screen right now what that is, but don't work on a lot of Xboxes. In fact, I've only really ever worked on my own. Oh, Hey, I think we got it. And yeah, these tend to be really stuck down, so a bit of hot air is usually enough to break them free. So just 100 degrees, 150 apparently on the hot air station. Let's warm that up for a little bit. Really only need to focus around the center because that's where it's going to be stuck down. There it goes. I do know some stuff. Same deal, remove the old stuff, apply new stuff, you know the drill. That'll do. So hook that over there and then try and get it over there. And yeah, that's also wobbly. So are thermal pads a better way to go? That might be an interesting experiment for a future time. If you have any opinions on that, put it in the comments. Right, I think everything is done in here. I don't see any reason to touch anything else. The caps around the CPU on this particular one look fine. These are also prone to leakage on certain Xboxes, but these ones seem to be okay, so I'm not going to touch them. And of course, we cleaned up around the clock capacitor area and installed a new clock capacitor. And yes, I know that is not required on these original Xboxes, especially the pre-1.6 revision boards, but I like to sort of complete the entire repair job, and if that means reinstalling a fairly unnecessary or useless item to most people, I'm still going to do it. So yeah, I don't think we're going to find out if this thing is going to leak for another 20 years or so. Ask me again in 10-20 years time and I'll let you know. So yeah, I think that is it for everything here. Like I said, the only other thing I wanted to do was just open up this drive and give the lens a quick clean. I think it's just 2 screws and then we should be able to take this lid off. I don't think we need to remove it from the caddy, although what holds it into the caddy? Those screws? Yeah. Anyway, 2 screws should be enough to get this lid off. So a little clip on either side. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the drive also looks very clean. I probably should have powered the Xbox off with the drawer out so we could get a bit better access, but yeah, it's easy enough to get to the lens, and I don't see any other dust bunnies floating around inside this thing, so I don't really think we have to go all out cleaning it. Just a quick clean of the lens should do. So again, I'm going to use one of these things with just a little bit of IPA because, yeah, these things are pretty much lint free from what I can tell, so much better than a cotton bud, I think. Just gently go over the lens, and I'll swap to the other side. That should do it. Yeah, everything else looks good. The drive still seems to work just fine, apart from that burnt CD, so I don't think there's anything else to do in here. Right, everything is reconnected. Let's do a quick final test before we throw the covers back on this thing. Power on. Seems good. Okay, so it didn't ask me to input the time, so I think the clock capacitor is storing the time, which, although it's incorrect, seems to be doing its job. I think it only stores the time for like 3 or 4 hours after you unplug it, so yeah, again, let's just start off with the tough one, which is the burnt disc. I think it's still struggling to read it. So maybe original Xboxes, at least with these drives, which is the TGM 600, just don't like certain burnt discs. Make sure it still works with everything else. Yep, the scratched up Def Leppard disc works. the original game disc still seems to work. Let's just try random DVD. But because this thing isn't modded, it's not going to play back DVDs without the little dongle thing. Or is it? No. I do have one of those somewhere. Right here. So we need to plug this in. I think Microsoft really shot themselves in the foot by not including DVD playback on the original Xbox, just out of the box. Alright, there we go. We have DVD playback. I think I found this thing in like an old random DVD player. It was just still in the drawer. How do we... Do I really need to use the remote? Can't I just use the bloody controller? Apparently not. Well, it works. I'm not going to get the remote out just to watch some scenic tours, European river cruising. Right. I think this machine is good. Hasn't been modded, obviously, and I might look at doing that in the future, but we'll save the mods for a different video. I really just want to focus on the repairs, and I've just realized that I didn't reinstall all the screws back into the board. Yeah, I forgot to put all these screws back in. So I'll quickly do that, but let's just jump straight to the next Xbox, because remember we had 3 of these to begin with, and so far we've only looked at this one. So let's move on to Xbox number 2. All right, Xbox number 2, and a couple of things that immediately stood out to me with this one. First of all, it looks pretty clean, so I think I've worked on this in the past, and I also didn't put any screws back in it, so maybe we should have a look inside before we just blindly power this one on. Okay. Well, there's the screws. At least I kept them with the machine. That's always a good idea. Dead laser written on the DVD-ROM drive, and this one is different from the previous one. It's made by Samsung, and looks like I haven't reattached any of the cables either. So, well, it's definitely not going to work without any of this. Didn't even plug the fan back in, apparently. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago that I worked on this thing, so I have no idea where I got up to, but obviously it must have somewhat worked because I've written dead laser on that thing, so must have been able to power it on. Okay. Looks like I haven't plugged in anything. Different board revision. This is a 1.6 revision by the looks of it, because we do not have the extra spots for the RAM chips, so okay. And the clock capacitor is this guy over here, I think. And yeah, it does look slightly bulged on the top, so that's got to come out. Well, seeing as I didn't plug anything back in, I'm guessing, yeah, we can just take the board straight out. How nice of me. Let's take a closer look. So it looks like I've replaced the CPU caps. In fact, there's 5 of them. So they are 3300 microfarad caps. So normally you'd only need 3. I guess I just went all out and put all 5 of them in. Yeah, like I said in the previous video, some of these boards will have 1500 microfarad caps, and in which case you'd have 5 of them. For the 3300 microfarads, you only need 3, and they do have to be low ESR. Basically, these caps are for the CPU power regulation, so when the CPU quickly ramps up, you need these caps here to deliver that extra power quickly. So yeah, that's why they're low voltage but high capacitance and also low ESR, so that anytime the CPU goes, hey, I need power right now, these things can deliver it. But yeah, that all seems fine. Yeah, the clock capacitor on these boards is over here, and although it doesn't look like it's leaked, it does look like it's slightly bulged, but it's only very slight. But yeah, either way, let's get this thing out, and because this is a 1.6 revision board, we're going to need to either replace the clock capacitor or mod the Xbox, which I may have already done. But yeah, let's take care of this thing first. We'll stick a new one in, and then we'll worry about what's going on with these drives after that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put some fresh solder on these legs just to sort of get everything flowing. Come in with the desoldering gun. And we're out. So yeah, only a slight bulge on top there. It actually seems to be more obvious when I'm looking at it from above. But yeah, this is definitely not good to leave in. In fact, I did recently get some little LCR tweezers, so let's give these a whirl, see what they say. Ooh, better do a bit of this. Oh yeah. So, looks like it's just on auto mode. Let's see if that will give us a result. Yeah, we're getting 120 microfarad. And remember, these are super caps, so they're actually 1 farad, which would be 1,000,000 microfarad. How do we switch? It's got a clicky. How do we change the frequency? So it looks like it's at 1000 hertz. At 100 hertz, it reads 310 microfarads. Hey, that's better. And at 10,000 hertz, yeah, 68.6. Not a big surprise. This is definitely cooked, though. Let's see what it says about a fresh supercap. So these are actually, I think they're 1.2 farads. Let's see if it can measure this. It's giving us 13 millifarads, so 13,000 microfarads at 10 kilohertz. 47 at 1 kilohertz, and at 100 hertz, oh, it's too much for it. Can't handle it. So yeah, definitely a big difference. Yeah, I don't think these things can really read, super caps all that well. I doubt the DER meter can do it either, but let's just see. We'll do the same thing. Go for 100 hertz. Let's see if it can handle this. No. 1 kilohertz? No. 10 kilohertz, nothing. 100 kilohertz, nothing. Oh, it almost registers when it's plugged in directly, but yeah, it's jumping all over the place. Anyway, I don't think either of these meters can correctly read the value of this capacitor, but I'm pretty certain, well, it's brand new, so I'm pretty certain it's not going to be out of spec. Now, let's get this thing installed. Might have to sit it fairly flush to the board, although if the DVD drive sits above the GPU heatsink, then I guess we've got plenty of room. Maybe we'll leave it just slightly off the board. All right, it's sitting just slightly off the board. That'll do. Chuck a couple of screws in just so it's not flapping in the breeze. Yeah, that should be enough. Now, I'm not too worried about the thermal paste right now, but perhaps we should just double check these voltage rails, make sure there's no shorts on them. So, pick a ground, any ground. Nothing there, nothing there. Oh, the resistance is climbing, so it looks like we're just charging a capacitor. That's fine. There's a red wire here. We got a short beep, but that was it. There's another orange there. Once again, charging a capacitor. And there is a yellow here. And yeah, no short there either. All right. Power rails don't seem to be shorted. I think this thing should just power on normally. I hope. Okay, here we go. Sounds good. Powering up. I have the retrotinks set to the correct input this time. Did I mod this Xbox? Doesn't look like it. Seems to be working fine. Obviously our clock capacitor must be working because it hasn't given us any errors. Yeah, apart from that, seems to be stock. Kernel 5838-5960. Let's check out this drive then. So, dead laser, DVD laser, CD laser, both, neither. It's gonna cry that we haven't plugged that thing in. Assuming it reads the disc. Well, I can hear it trying to read the disc, so the laser isn't completely dead because it's obviously picking up on a reflection. So kind of works, but yeah, we're not getting anywhere with that, which means game is unlikely to work. Yeah, it's not happy. What about CDs? It's making noises. Still doesn't sound happy though. Right, well, I can tell that the laser's not entirely dead. Maybe it's just a dirty lens or something. We might get lucky. Let's power it off and take a look. Okay. Screws on the underside. Hopefully only these two. Can't quite get the other one around the caddy, but nope. Nope, nope, nope. Get that out of the way. Two more screws, of course. All right. Well, the lens looks pretty damn clean, but it's the easiest thing to try, so let's give it a little going over. Let's see how that goes. Right, that should be good enough to allow us to plug everything back in. Okay, power on. Alright, so there's definitely life in it, and I can just see the DVD laser, I think. So let's try it with this, which was an audio CD. I guess it still kind of is. I just trimmed it down so we could get a better look. I have to do a bit of that. Alright, we do have the spindle going, so it is trying to read that. So it's definitely picking up that something's there. And yeah, I can just see the DVD laser coming on because that actually shows up as red. So you can actually see it in the lens. The CD laser, on the other hand, is usually invisible to the naked eye. So yeah, always be wary of that. Even if it doesn't look like it's doing anything, there's a good chance that it is actually shooting out, laser light and could poke you in the eye. So we need this spindle part to actually clamp down on the disc, but on this one, it seems to be part of the actual top case, so I don't think we can get that piece out, which means in order to do this, let's just power that off. Actually have to put the top cover back on, and then put a disc in and hope that something happens. Yeah, I can definitely hear it trying to read, but I don't think this is going to work. It's not happy. I think it's given up. Yeah. Huh. Okay, well, I've been playing with this thing off camera for the last 2 hours, and I didn't get any further with it. It seems to just not want to lock focus on any disc, and although the lasers do appear to be working, yeah, without proper focus on them, it just keeps retrying and moving the actual lens assembly up and down, trying to focus on them. So I don't know about this one. I did have a look online, and pretty much the only things I came across were a couple of posts about this particular drive where people were getting certain error codes, and that seems to be related to some resistor networks, and these sit near the IDE connector, so I think they're just little current limiting resistors, but apparently some of these can go bad on the Samsung drives. Don't think that's the problem here, because even if the IDE stuff wasn't working 100%, I think it should still be able to, lock focus onto a disc and attempt to start playing it, and then the Xbox would go, hey, I'm missing, some kind of data or address signal from the drive, what's going on? So I don't think it's that. But yeah, that's really about the only things, well, the only common faults that I could see coming up about this drive. So I think we should just move on to the third and final Xbox, see what's inside that. Obviously, I want to get the clock capacitor out before it starts leaking, if it's still installed. So let's not delay that any longer, messing around with this thing. We might come back to this and try and sort out the drive if possible, but of course it's an Xbox, so it's not a big deal if we don't have a drive. We've always got a hard drive, or we could always go for an SSD even. We may also use this one for a bit of a test with thermal pads versus thermal paste, see what temperatures we get. Obviously that would mean we'd need to mod this thing so we can actually monitor those temperatures, but I think these days you can do it over USB. With a USB dongle that you plug into the controller port. So we don't necessarily need the optical drive to work in order to soft mod this thing. But yeah, we'll come back to that another day. Let's move on to Xbox number 3. Oh, and here it is, the crusty demon. Yeah, very dirty and gross. There's like bugs and shit in the controller ports, I think. Spiderwebs, dust. Oh, I can see it's very rusty on the inside. That RF shield is practically brown. Definitely going to open this one up before we apply any power to it. And it looks like it's never been opened before, so no doubt we've got a leaking clock capacitor as well. Yay. All right. Let's not stuff around with labels. All right, screws are out. I'm expecting some major carnage. Let's hope I'm wrong. Even the case doesn't want to just pop off this one. Brace yourself. Wow. Oh, wow. This has been, by the looks of it, in a puddle. I'm pretty sure that is mud. At the moment, what I see is a bunch of spider webs, a little bit of dust, and a whole lot of rust. I don't know if we're going to be able to salvage this one. I don't even know if I'd want to. Oh, look at the side of that. Well, I gotta know what's going on underneath all this. Kind of a shame it's got the Thomson drive and not the Samsung drive, because maybe we could have salvaged some parts out of it. Who knows, maybe this thing will be pristine underneath. Oh, let go. Wow. Well, there's a spider carcass. Yeah, I'm not holding out a lot of hope for this one. Surprised nothing has crawled out and bitten me yet. It is Australia. Okay, older revision board, so we've got the extra space for the RAM ICs. We've got a fan on the GPU, so is this a really early revision board? I think it is. I think that's also confirmed by the Connexent video encoder chip. I'm pretty sure later boards had the one that we saw in that first Xbox, whatever it was called, and the earlier boards have this version in them. Yeah, it's Pretty nasty looking in here. Ooh, and we have the 1500 microfarad caps, which look to be okay. Interesting. Maybe there's hope. We've got our clock capacitor, but it doesn't look like it's spilled its guts everywhere this time. Yeah, so do the later boards have a little header for the GPU fan? I wonder. Never looked at that. I've never seen one of these boards. A different power supply connector as well, just a single row. It doesn't have a clip on it, does it? No, it's just tighter than a... Alright, it's all different. It's all new and weird. Ew, what is that on there? Like part of a bug on that connector? Well, it's not bad. It's not good. But it might just work. Wow. The board itself seems unscathed. There's no like major corrosion or rust. Not sure about the rear connectors, but maybe they're okay as well. Crazy. I do want to check out the power supply in this one before we do anything, so let's get this out as well. Is that it? Yes? Maybe. Yes. Let's put that aside for now. Alright, dusty, dirty, a little bit of rust residue, but it's only on the plastic around the plug. Tiny bit of rust holding up this little transformer back here, but yeah, that's fine. It seems okay. Right, well I think what I should do is just knock all the loose dust and bugs and other shit out of this thing, and then we'll come back, plug it all in, power it on. Okay, so I've removed all the individual components and obviously disassembled the rest of the case, and yeah, once I took that RF shield out, you can see just how bad it is in here. And this stuff is leaving little rust particles all around the bench, so I'm gonna worry about that later. As for the RF shield, it's already in the bin, both the top and bottom, because yeah, they're not great. So I don't really want to have those in there, and they're kind of falling apart as well. Some of that rust has gone right through, so I'd rather upset the amateur radio operators than have rusty RF shields. So what I'm going to do is just connect all the bits here just on the bench, and we'll plug it in, see what it does. It might go bang, which will make for a bit of a fun video. It might just work, which will also be kind of interesting because I don't like its chances. I wouldn't want to forget the fan, which is still very crusty, but seems to spin. Wouldn't want this thing overheating now. Okay, everything's connected. I'm going to plug the mains power into the power supply first before I go plugging it into the wall. And let's see what this thing does. Nothing's going to short out anywhere. Oh, we're going to need video in case it does actually do something. All right, safety checks completed. All good here. Let's plug her in. It is plugged into mains. Hasn't powered itself on. No way. Oh, the fans sound messed up. Colors look really off, but it is running. And even the hard drive is working. Wow. Ooh, yeah. It does not sound very happy though, I'll give you that. Let's see if we can plug a controller in. Let's go, let's play. Oh, there's even a disc in there and it's actually booting it. What is it? Is it going to work? Apparently so. Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex. How many Crash Bandicoot games did they need to release? Seems to be playing fine though. Let's have a look. Here it is. So that's a bit of a shock. Yeah, there's something not right. The colors look way off. So once again, doesn't seem to be modded, which is kind of a shock. I thought like everyone modded their Xbox back in the day, but maybe not. Kernel 4034, dashboard 5960. Yeah, wow. So it's just a bad, it's a bad connection in the plug. I think we were missing red. That makes a bit more sense. Or we were missing green or something. Missing blue? Right. There we go. It's just a bad connection on that AV port, which isn't a big surprise given how rusty it was around there and muddy. Okay, we need to know, will it play a CD? In fact, will it eject? That'd be useful. Oh, okay. Not sure. I don't even have audio plugged in. I assume that works. In fact, I don't even know if I've been capturing audio this whole time because OBS loves to fight with me. I can see that it is playing, but I can't hear it. So I don't know if it's recording that, but it is playing the very scratched up Def Leppard CD. So the drive seems to be fully working. Yeah, that's a shock. Well, definitely the clock capacitor needs to come out. I can see that it is crusty underneath there, so that's got to go, but it doesn't look to have done any major damage. The rest of this thing just seems to work. So, on that note, obviously I need to do a lot of scrubbing to that case and clean up the main board a little bit better, but I think in terms of repairs, we're good here. So, well, that's all the Xboxes that I have to repair. So I guess that is the end of this little repair series. I do, however, want to do some mods to these things. Obviously, you know, break out of the original dashboard and either do a soft mod or maybe look into some hard mods, maybe BIOS replacements. I hear SirBIOS is being very good and popular right now. Obviously, I am not schooled on my original Xbox stuff these days, so yeah, let me know in the comments if you think SirBIOS is the way to go for a BIOS replacement. I assume it's compatible with all board revisions, although maybe not. We could do a RAM upgrade. I mean, these boards have spots for the extra RAM chips. We could even try it on the 1.6. I think you can sort of piggyback extra RAM on top of the existing RAM chips, and then you just have to worry about trying to wire up the, I think the CAS and RAS signals for the extra RAM. So that sounds like a fun, challenging mod as well. I don't know, what else is there out there? leave your thoughts and comments in the comments. I do still want to try out some mods for these systems, so we'll definitely come back to them. So yeah, let me know what you think I should try out, what's worthy of doing, what I should possibly avoid, if you're up to date with your Xbox mods. And yeah, we'll come back sometime in the future and try some of them out. But as for now, we have 3 working Xboxes. I'm happy. Well, 2.5 because the DVD-ROM drive doesn't work in one of them, but whatever. Yeah, that is it for this one. A huge thanks to the people that support the channel on Patreon and allow me to continue making videos like this. If you want to support the channel and help me out even further, links to the Patreon page are in the video description. You'll also get ad-free early access to all videos and discounts on the Tindy store and occasional exclusive content. So please consider supporting the channel if you can. Otherwise, a like, subscribe, all those things, a share would be also very much appreciated. That is it from me. Thank you all for watching. Bye. What a mess. Yeah, does that fan header exist on the other boards? Why didn't they put a fan on all the GPUs? Probably should unplug this before I touch something stupid.
Ooh, I need a belly rub, please. Please, can I have a belly rub?